Welcome to another episode of the Northern Finance Podcast. Today I have Henrijs Jansons as a guest. He's the CEO of Debitum platform since 2022. So CEO with 1 year of experience now, and we have quite a few interesting questions for him. So Henrijs, first of all, welcome to the podcast. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Alex, for having me. It's a pleasure. And hello, everyone. Happy to be here and answer the questions.
Yeah. So we have quite a few interesting questions today about Debitum, about change of ownership, asset-backed securities, and all that kind of great stuff investors want to know about. So first of all, maybe Henrijs, for those people who don't know you yet, maybe tell a little bit about your history and what you used to do before you came to Debitum in, the start of 2022.
Prior to Debitum, I was working for international debt collection and credit scoring company Kredite, and they are our partners now at Debitum as well, because I know how they work, what was the process behind it. We had the debt collection. We also had the credit scoring services, and I was business development in all these areas. Then before that, I was working for another peer-to-peer platform, which now has sort of bad name, Do Finance. Thankfully, I left or was forced to leave 1 year prior. The things went south, if we may say like this. Prior to Do Finance, I was working in another big fintech. I think everybody knows that invests in peer-to-peer. It's called Mogo Finance, or now Eleving. So one of the most successful non-bank car leasing companies, and I was responsible for the data analytics. So I knew how all this process happens, how you score clients, how it then get the money back, etc., etc. And before that, I worked in IT company, which were offering services of business intelligence and data warehouse building. So again, I had multiple clients, usually large corporations, international or big local companies, and then again, I was basically the link between the management of those companies, because they are interested in to seeing these results, and actually that gave me a lot of understanding what to look for in a business, how to make sure it's can go from A to B, and continuously be successful. And before that, I worked in real estate. So I was property manager for 2 houses. I think it was 58 apartments altogether. So I've been into 2 houses. So I have a bit of everything, I guess. And therefore, when I joined Debitum, they actually asked me to join, would I consider it fit all the boxes? Because I knew something about investment. Is it real estate or is it just fintech? I studied economics myself, and actually I'm student now for MBA in business. So this is actually what I wanted to do anyway. In some field, I have quite a knowledge how big companies successful work, what they do, what they require from reporting. So it's easy for me when I spoke to Debitum partner companies, then when they see some financials or they explain, I can see, is this the same mindset or is something different, right? And then, of course, this experience with scoring businesses, right, in international group, it's just as, okay, this is very convenient. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think this is in short. Yeah.
All right, very good. So thank you for letting us know all of that. And now that you are working at Debitum for more than a year, what would you say is your USP? So what differentiates you from the competition? There are many platforms out there, maybe Mintos, Income Marketplace. What would you say that you do different?
I will say what makes, for me, most important thing personally is that since I had experience with payday loan companies and this, fast credit, which is non-bank product and targeting maybe not so lucky people in at the moment in their life. So for me, the criteria is that I don't do this anymore. Like I didn't want to do it, and Debitum is purely related only to the businesses. So we support SMEs, like small and medium companies around Europe. And this is something good. Like when I go sleep, I know that I help to do something good, right? If we raise some money for a company in Estonia that are raising money for butchers, for taxis, for cafes, whatever, it's just there's a new company, somebody is getting a job, it's paid, it's good for the society. So this is, I think, for me, this is personally the number one. For others, most likely is the license, right? There are not so many licensed companies in the as investment brokerages, right? So this is another thing. The third thing is that we have actually quite, since we work only with businesses, we have quite severe ways how we look on these companies that we list on the platform. Like it's which translates into investor protection. We have like covenants, like we can at any point pull the plug and make them repay. We have severe penalties if they are late on the payments, and we do transfer all the penalties to our investors. So I think that's, if they're late, it's kind of our problem, but we give all the proceeds to the investors.
Then how do you make money at that point when all the late fees go to investors?
No, they still have to pay us the origination fee. So the model is now that we take a fee up front, because historically, since Debitum works only with businesses, we cannot have, unlike like payday loan companies, we cannot have one company for a long time, because what happens, we are like this gap between new company which we don't take, and then it's almost like bank company, but something a bit missing, right? And the companies come, they work with us for usually 1 or 2 years, and then they move on to the bank. It's because they go to usually banks come to them and say, hey, I saw that you were on Debitum, you repaid everything on time, enough now, cheap loan, right? 5-7%, and we cannot compete with, it's normal, right? And this is in the Debitum history, we have had 16 companies already, now we have 4 active, right? So 12 already have matured, and some like 2 companies actually already listing bonds on Luxembourg Stock Exchange. So this is,
wow,
this is the process, and
that's great.
And also this is also different, but what's different from other platforms.
Okay, very good to know. And there was also a change in ownership of the Debitum platform. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and what investors should know? To who did these shares go?
Yeah, so this is also nothing, it's a good news. I have personally waited it for a very long time, since we are a regulated company. Each shareholder needs to be thoroughly approved by the regulator. It means criminal checks, past checks, wellness checks, like is the person suitable for running the business, because our license requires the same knowledge of shareholders and also board owners as the banks. So that's it's new regulation. So, and the regulator also is like I just like do it like a bank. So it took more than 9 months for everybody to be approved, and actually 2 days ago we got final approval from the last shareholder. So the previous owner is completely out. He's already removed from the board, but everybody is changed. So who bought the platform? So I'm like minority shareholder, but we all paid money. It's not like a gift for me from the new owners. We put in our own money, everyone, and so there's one professional from M&A industry, which is very good, because he knows also, he can spot these, gems in the companies, and, that can generate value later on. And then we have one majority shareholder. He is just purely financial investor, but he comes to the so-called these board meetings because he has worked with credit institutions. He has worked with institutions here in Latvia. So he brings this how to speak to the regulator, how this is, fintech, because Debitum used to be just a fintech. You can do whatever. You wear, color shirts. Everything is, fine. But with the regulation, there has to be something like a bank as well that, process in place, steady. So we cannot grow so fast. Yeah, we realize this, but so he gives also a bit this experience, how it should be like on that side, as well as I worked in this credit debt collection company as well, which was international, listed on the stock exchange, and I was also heavily involved in preparing the reports. There's annual reports for shareholders, etc., etc. So I also knew a bit of something. So this is good things. And for investors with like Debitum investors, I mean, it's a good news because these two guys bring new projects. They previous workplaces have like some good things coming up, and this is something that we know for sure it's gonna be like repaid. At the moment, we're very, very strict on taking new clients, and unless they really can prove the financials and there's collateral on the loan. Yeah, I think I forgot to mention that collateral also is the thing that differentiates us from other companies. For every item you can invest in Debitum, there is like real thing behind. It can be, mortgage. It can be some pledge on the shares of the, entity. A lot of things depends on the companies, but there is always some guarantee, and that's why actually we have this zero default rate at the moment, apart from Ukraine, which I guess we can touch later.
Yeah. So would you say, just for the understanding of some investors, maybe they know about agricultural loan platforms like LANDE or HeavyFinance, for example, would you say you have a similar business model of funding these small to medium enterprises with a collateral at the back end?
I think it's we have taken a bit from everything. So what Debitum does, Debitum refinances. So we're not crowdfunding platform. It's not that we take investors' money, give it to company, now do what you want. It's actually the company has done something with their own money first, right? They have funded something for 1 million, and then we can refinance this 1 million with some skin in the game, is putting junior share on everything and pledges, right? And then they can use the money for doing the same thing. So it's like very strict what they can use money for, and they have already, as I said, put their money first in, and it has worked. So there is proven business model. And since we work with businesses, there is no GDPR, right? We can thoroughly see like everything, the data. It's not a secret, and some data is even public, right? You can easily just go type in the name, and you can get the actually credit report even, right? And then it's just a matter of the details. And what we do, our credit risk analysts, what they do, they check, okay, so the rate at Debitum, right, there is for some, let's say 12% for investors, something for the platform. Does it make sense? Can they scale with this money, or it's like too much? Are they profitable or not? So, and if the answer is yes, if is yes, then of course we can work with them. But if it's not, then we don't. And especially now with the ownership change, we are very, very strict to see, okay, if something goes bad, can they repay, right? Because we really want to have this option that we can pull the plug and the company can repay us the money. And we decided now with the new owners that we will do stress tests for each company once in a while, and we just say, sorry, no new money, just repay, right? And then see what happens, right? And then if there is a problem, it's like good thing that for us to think maybe we should, not grow portfolio for this company until they change something.
I see. And what would you say comes next for Debitum? So what are the next steps in your development? When I recently started investing on Debitum, I noticed one thing in particular that I would like to see, which is auto invest. I heard that you are in conversation with the regulator to have a auto invest approved, because as a regulated platform, also the auto invest needs to be approved. So can you tell us a little bit about when that might be coming, and what else maybe you have planned for Debitum?
You're completely correct. Autonomous needs to be reapproved again. We have redesigned it, and we have actually already set for development for IT guys to implement it. In meantime, we are showing how it works for the regulator. So I think it should be smooth that the IT part has done their side and business have done the side things with the regulator. We have like theoretically we have everything correct in terms of licensing. So you just approve, and since it was summer, it took some more time because they are also off in the summer. But I think in the late September, early October, we hope that we actually have launched already Autonomous. If there's, again, it's the first time it will be done with the regulator, so we don't know, but technically it will be ready for sure. And then it's like a couple of weeks to finalize with the regulator. And again, this is something when I joined Debitum, what I really wanted to do, that I can call the shots, right? Because previously when I worked for Do Finance, this other P2P company, then I was just, do this, do that, and I just manage the process, but I cannot make decisions how we're gonna do something, right? I don't have this power now. Even before I bought part of Debitum, I had this, full rights to decide on my own, and of course I could get fired, but until then I could decide. And I really wanted to make Autonomous a product, and that's why I also don't want to be in payday loans. I want to be a product that I want to use myself. I can, suggest. My mom is an investor on Debitum now. She was not investor in the previous company I worked for. And so yeah, this is again something that I wanted to do, and on our Autonomous, which we have designed the feature that it will be really Autonomous and a real passive income, because we will make the option that when you set everything up, I think that setting up is similar for everyone. Like we just took everything we knew from the best platforms, put it together. But what we have added is that you'll be able to put it, okay, I want my money to be withdrawn to my bank account, like straight away without going to the platform. Of course, from the business side, it's not good because customers don't log in the platform, right? But again, from the product side, which I would like to use such product personally, that I just, put some money and I forget it. And, every month I get this beep, beep, the notification. So yeah, this is what we're going to do. Another thing, we are, of course, working, so we're going to increase share capital of the company, and we go for the secondary market license, and then the same time also this something similar to money, Go and Grow in Bondora. So it's like a deposit product. It's like lower interest rate, but you can quickly turn around the money, quickly get out. Smart Saver is another good example. Right. So yeah, this is the next targets that we want to do. We hope that we have designed it and programmed it till the late December. But again, we don't know how fast it's gonna be with the regulator. And but from other sides, the long-term plan is to do bonds and IPOs and pre-IPOs for the companies in the Baltics, because we have one Nasdaq for the Baltics. And we actually have experience how to do it, and we evaluate companies, the businesses anyway. So we have this financial part is there, financial due diligence, and then we just need to add the legal part. And we have employees that have the certificate to be Nasdaq representatives. So this is but it's like a longer future plan, because this is actually the way how we see as a company that we can keep some of the customers until they go to the bank, right? So we can start slowly, just with typical P2P product, and then, okay, you have grown, sure, let's do bonds. And then in this together, there's also this pre-IPO product, pre-IPO financing that because IPO costs money, it's like 100 or 200,000 euros. And usually small companies don't have spare 200, they need actually more money, not spend money, right? And then with Debitum, we could actually solve this as well. That's why also we want to be in this, we feel that this is the right direction for us in the future to offer such service. And okay. on of course, at the moment, I don't know if you have followed Debitum, but we have increased the rate in the platform. It was some 8% per annum for some very safe investments. Now it's actually going up 10, there will be 12, 13. So yeah, going, Euribor is going up, and Debitum is also
that's very good.
Having the projects that can support the trade.
Yeah, because I've seen many platforms actually not caring about Euribor rates too much, just because they have this investor demand, and I think you can do it like to a certain point, but after some point, investors will start thinking twice if to continue investing on that platform, and maybe it's a natural market process, but I think if you don't adapt to the reality of higher interest rates, then sooner or later growth will stall for long. But that's just my opinion on it. So have you raised the rates for let's say a certain period that you say, okay, all loans for 1 year from today on, for example, will be at least 9 or 10% in the lowest risk case, or how did you do it?
Since most of the companies are not related to Debitum that are placed, we are actually really like a platform, Airbnb, right? Type just for finance. Then we have agreements in place, and the agreements are for 1 year. Then we agree on the rate with the borrower, and then after, when this period ends, then we just renegotiate. Of course, for us, since they are not our companies, we want to push up. They want to push down, and then we just look what's actually, as you said, what's in the market, right? And there is very hard for them to negotiate if there's no way other they can get money cheaper somewhere else, right? So that's just basic simple finance, right? So, but yeah, we are fair to the borrowers, as I said, because we need in the end we need them to repay. So it means we sometimes, or previously we have tended to take this more less risky projects that they pay lower rates rather than bigger rate but higher risk. So, and we're gonna continue with third party partners like this for the next future for sure. Like next 1 or 2 years, you're not gonna see 20% on Debitum, 25, 30 or whatever. This is a totally different ballpark. We are in this this 0% default rate that the repayments coming. This is our bread and butter, if I may.
Okay.
To say.
And after looking in the future, what your plans are, and looking at the current state with the interest rate, let's look back a little bit. So I asked you to prepare for this question before. If an investor took his money and invested in all Debitum loans since the launch of the platform, what would be his return if we value the Ukrainian loans you mentioned a few minutes before at, let's say, 0 today, and if they get paid back, that would be nice, but it would be additional return. What interest rate would such an investor get?
Yeah. So we did the calculations. I quickly find them on my laptop screen. It was so for all time, Debitum is more than 5 years. For all time, it was almost no difference because we have in total raised money more than 80 million. I think now it's 85 even, and repaid more than 75. So and Ukrainian part was just 3 million. Out of 3 million, 1 was actually repaid. So it's very, very small difference. And so it was 1 point, I think and also we have like smaller kind of rates on the platform, but we have these campaigns, the cashbacks. When you bring a customer, you can refer a friend and make some money. And then so it was 11.56 overall. This clear real return for investors. And if you didn't invest in Ukraine, but if you invested also in Ukraine, it was 10.96. So very, very close.
Yeah, that's a competitive return, I would say.
Of course, if you invested, let's say in the year there was Ukraine, then the picture is a bit different. Then if you didn't invest in Ukraine, it was again 11.26. if you did invest in Ukraine, it was 5.32%, which is actually, we were surprised. It's at some point this is like that high, but then we actually saw another blogger, Danny, like he did a review on his portfolio Debitum, and he got, I think, 5.4. So it's like insignificant difference, and it's like specific portfolio, and we did with weighted average. If you invested, 100,000, it's like bigger weight, and 50 euros, of course, it's like insignificant weight. So pretty much it's okay. So it never went negative. I mean, it went negative if you invested just in Ukraine, and also we checked for real result, right? So if you invested in this Ukraine that it has repaid, then of course it's a bit better. But if you just invested in the part and that's restructured at the moment, then the rate is not so, of course, not so good. But then again, what I want to point about this Ukraine is that since we had this collateral, and in this case it was the company is issuing business loans for cars, and not like vans, trucks. It can be tractors, and these are like pledged to the Debitum investors in the end, and that's why it's not defaulted. It's not zero because yes, some cars are destroyed, some are taken by one or the second army. But in general, they are there, and they are picking them up, finding them all over the Europe. We actually were on the call and actually we helped them to meet with one of the best collections I had with my previous experience, some contacts, and then they met and they actually found pretty much cars like across the Europe, and the money was coming back. And then what we did, we asked them to store them in separate bank accounts, so they are not. But I mean, there's some costs they need to do for operations, of course, right? Pay salaries, for the same collection, right? There's a fee, but whatever is left, it's stored separately in different bank accounts, and the money was sitting there up until now, and then we realized, and the company also realized that if they want to leave, like they cannot, because at some point the cars run out, right? And then of course, you can fire employees, but there will be no growth. So that was the point. And then we agreed on this restructuring plan that they can start using the money of issuing new loans. They did some test runs with their own money at first. It was quite good. And now, so since 31st of May, we have signed all the documents. Again, since there is war, we got the papers, like we started sending early, but we got because, there's no regular mail going back and forth. It goes like through Poland, and there's quite a challenge to get. So we actually announced it last week. Now I'm confused. I think this week we announced. We had everything already prepared because it was signed very, very long time ago in the start of the summer. But no, we got the agreements because we as a licensed platform we cannot just. Yes, we can hope that they will sign or something. We need, prove that it's signed and everything, and then we can proceed with the restructuring. And the restructuring, what it means, so they can use the money that was just frozen in our account, separate account, and then they can build up the portfolio. And what happened, we decreased the interest rate because they accumulated like 25% of the initial investment. So we just divided the interest rate on by 4, because if the company would have to pay full interest from the smaller amount, it would be because on average for investors it was 12% more or less. For some was 11, for some maybe a bit more, and then if it's 4 times less money, then it's actually 48% interest on that money to use, and then there's no business case. They go bankrupt. So we decreased it to 3%, but then there is a chance that actually they can recover all 100%, and they will start normal repayment of the principal from end of year 3, and then gradually repay everything as well. So it's not also that you wait 6 or 7 years and then everything will be also actually repaid partially in between.
Okay, and now I would have 3 last questions, which I would like you to answer as quickly as you can, just for investors to know what. So the first one, what is the current situation of chain finance and their operations on Debitum and their operations in general?
Yeah, so chain finance was owned by previous owner of Debitum, and then in order not to have them, we have completely taken them out. So that's why Debitum SPV has taken over management of Ukrainian company loans, because chain finance was the one that issued them. So we have removed this, so we control directly all the payments back and forth. But in general, chain finance is no longer in operations. They issued loans not only to Ukraine, to other countries as well, Estonia, Lithuania, whatever, I think Czech Republic, many. But they have repaid everything, every single cent for all other loans, right? And for Ukraine also, the 1 million out of 3 was repaid as well. So it's just purely the war. So I would not put that much blame chain finance on the previous owner. It's just the war happened, but everything else is repaid. But we have no connection. It's never gonna be on the platform because it's previous owner. So that's done.
Okay, thank you. Second question, you have asset-backed securities at Debitum. What are the most important things for investors to know in comparison to before you got regulated?
Yeah, so the difference is that before that we were like regular platform, each loan was separate, this list on the platform. So if you open the platform, there was like many pages with many loans. Now with ABSs, it means we pool them together, and sometimes we have even more than 100 under one ABS, which is actually in some way like auto invest, because the minimum investment is 10 euros. So if you invest 10 euros in a pool of loans of 100, you diversify this 10 euros by 100 loans. It's just like insane. It's like too much. Of course, we we have to monitor everything. We try to put 5. If it's especially big loans, then we put just 5. It's easy then to follow and to replace them and change them. But yeah, so it's just the automatic diversification for investors. I think that's the main point here.
Okay, great. And last question, how much of your own portfolio do you invest in Debitum or peer-to-peer lending in general?
Well, I invest a lot because I work and I see all the finances, and I can just break down my portfolio. I used to have real estate because I was working real estate, and I like selling and buying and all this thing. But there was high inflation in Europe, so the prices rose. I'm not so confident it's gonna stay like this for long. So I sold my rental apartments. Like actually, it's not just mine. It's like my family, like me and my wife. We like put everything. We don't divide like this. So we took this money out, and it's invested in Debitum, not only through like buying the company, which is also investment, but also we use it as I said, as a product ourselves. And the split would be, I think, so in Debitum we have 50% of, which is quite a lot. But then I have investment in old Jaguar Cabriolet, which is nice to drive around, but it's not appreciating as fast as I thought. It's easy to get rid of it at the moment, but it's parked in garage, so it's good. Yeah, so I have the beach property which I own partly, so I have 50% at the moment, and there are 4 more owners, so I want to gradually buy them out, and then the price should increase, as it's like literally next on the beach, and I hope that we can make some investor event someday there as well in the summer in Riga, not Riga, but Jurmala. So yeah, and then other investments are in other platforms. I choose only license because I interested in what they do, how they're because there are same issues we need to tackle and how they do it, and then in general we want to be more or less the same, so it's not confusing for investors. So this is also where I invest, and then I invest in stocks, but just for the companies I like. So it's not and I'm not the buy and sell. I just buy. I like the company, I buy, I keep it, and I sometimes even forgot to check what's the result, and then I say, so, when we meet in conferences, everybody asks the questions, where do you invest yourself? And I'm like, I should actually check what's I have Manchester United, I have Ferrari, just something like the companies I like, and that's it. Yeah, because of course I would not work for Debitum. I would have more, maybe some ETFs or something like this. But since I work for the Debitum, then and I'm CEO, and like I see all the accounts. Like one of them, let's say one of the Debitum partners, as I said, most of them are not related to Debitum. We have just one, which is Sandbox, which is owned by me, and this is again on the purpose. We are not hiding it. And we made actually Sandbox to make sure that we can onboard new partners faster, because now with relation it takes 6 to 9 months. Because we need to check, which is fine, right? We can still check relatively fast, but then the regulator needs to check, and they have these 30 days, 30 working days, and then they say, oh, but can you also send this paper? And then of course it's back and forth, and then again more 30 days, and then so it takes time. So Sandbox was created for this. And also then, so actually we will have soon one graduate of the program. We'll have one energy company that will become just as LO, and that's it. No more through Sandbox. And then also through Sandbox, we can do like this one-off deals, because sometimes businesses approach us directly because they have heard that Debitum helps SMEs, right? And Debitum directly cannot lend money. As I said, we're not crowdfunding. So there has to be somebody who believes the idea first, puts in the money, and then it can only go to the victim. And then now with Sandbox, we can also do like this. If we see, okay, there's a good idea, if I don't know, some factory building something, they need new machines, they can give us collateral, whole factory, whatever, some, I don't know, property. And we believe ourselves, then I and all the new owners, like we will give our own hard money, and then give the loan, and then it can be placed in Debitum. And this is also another place where my investments go, that it just goes to Sandbox and to some businesses. At the moment, we have funded only locally because it's just easier to, check them, everything, or make sure it's proper. And we know how to register all these pledges and mortgages. But we also are talking to some foreign companies as well. So yeah.
Okay, very interesting to hear. Henrijs, thank you very much for this conversation and being so open and transparent about everything I asked. I really appreciate it. I'm sure investors will too. So thank you very much for taking the time.
Yeah, it was my pleasure as well. And I really like that you mentioned this word transparency, and this is actually what we strive for, that we are transparent and we are not hiding. That's why you're saying this is our company, this is not, and because just because we want to be a long-term player in the industry, and if you're not transparent, you're a short-term player, and that's we have seen many platforms that come up very quick, and then they are just as quick go down, right? So this is not what we want to do. And maybe last thing from my side is that also why we bought the Debitum in the first place is that it's like a good canvas. There is license, it's everything, but there's a lot of things lacking. And I told to the other partners, but this is the best thing, that we know that what is lacking, and we have good starting basis, and we just fix these things, and we go up like this. And we don't have actually many retail investors. I will be honest, we have like up to 10,000. I know, maybe now 11, right? Most of the investors are high net individuals, some funds, because with Debitum is specific with businesses, so the funds understand, fund managers, asset managers, they are the most clients with big tickets, and this is also very stressful. If you lose one, we lose 500,000, right? And we actually want to diversify. So that's why, Alex, again, thank you very much for having us, and I hope that we can also bring this what professionals use also to the retailers, because this is another thing that Debitum must achieve, that make what was before available to the rich people also to the regular people also to enjoy the benefits. So yeah, thank you again very much. And yeah, let's have a chat sometime again.
Let's do that. I would say at the latest point when you launch your fixed income product, but that would be the very latest point to have another discussion.
All right. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you too. Bye-bye.